and gentlemen, boys and girls. Oh, baby. We're back. And we're coming in real aggressive with this one. We're back and we've got a pretty hot topic, okay? We need to talk to get you guys caught up to speed on where the heck this Toaster Waffle Man's been at. I've been locked in on getting a job. They've been doing background checks on me. I've had to keep a low profile on here. We've since passed the majority of the background checks from the companies that I have offer letters with, and I have a burning desire to get this video out there. So without further ado, I present to you, it's the government involved with Hurricane Helene. I get it. Some of you are probably like, how could he say such a thing about my United States government? Well, Susan, have we been paying attention? I don't know if we can trust these people. My hypothesis is that we don't have very many Christians in the White House. I said it. And by the White House, I mean the government. So let's just keep an open mind to that statement, and let's get to the bottom of this thing. We're gonna figure this thing out live. So let's get straight on into this thing. I have to do laundry. Life is happening again. And we're back.
So what is ClickUp? ClickUp is an all-in-one productivity software where you can manage everything and
everyone. Oh my gosh, man. Just play the video, dude. So Cap Chatfield, close friend, colleague, definitely not making this up. I have an extremely personable relationship with him. My elbows are about to give out. He had Dane on his YouTube channel. His name is Dane Wigington. This guy's the real deal, dude. Dane has been studying this for I think like 20-something years. This is his website. So for the sake of us not spending a bunch of time trying to figure out if he's credible or not, let's just put on our tinfoil hats and get straight on into this thing.
For your listeners that know what Haarp is, that's the ionosphere heater in Alaska. Its acronym is HAARP. And that is quite simply a weapon of mass destruction. It's an ionosphere heater. It's a frequency transmitter. It's very different than the NexRad transmitters that you see on the initial film. Haarp transmits 3.6 million watts of power into the electrically charged ionosphere, causes an electrical chain reaction, superheats that layer of the atmosphere, which causes the atmosphere to bulge and expand up and down. The downward push of that air creates a high pressure heat dome. Have you heard that term a lot lately, Cap? High pressure heat dome. Cap, where are you located at again?
Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay, so you're not here in the West. We hear that term all the time because we're parked under an ionosphere. It's a high pressure heat dome, and the meteorologists use the high pressure heat dome term all the time. It doesn't move. So under this heat dome, this compressing air, why would they do that? Again, many agendas being carried out. One, it's greatly decimating the agricultural production in California. You can't grow anything here at this point. Photosynthesis, by the way, for those that don't know, it stops at 104 degrees. It tapers down to that point, stops at 104. Now we have intense UV that causes plants to shut down their stomata, the respiratory ports. Same with forests and foliage. So the forests don't smell like forests here. The trees aren't breathing. They're not absorbing carbon. They're not releasing oxygen. They're dying a slow, protracted death. The aluminum is poisoning the root systems.
I don't know what's going on anymore. He's throwing all these big words out at me. Let's back it up, dude. I feel like we're getting off topic. Did he just say that this is a weapon of mass destruction?
Its acronym is HAARP. And that is quite simply a weapon of mass destruction.
Oh,
it's
perfect.
an ionosphere heater. It's a frequency.
Great. That's really good. Just what we need. Now let's get away from the technical side of exactly how this works. I'm just going to use my Fortnite brain here and just dumb it down. To my understanding, and I could be wrong, Haarp is a huge object that looks like an oil rig that floats in the ocean and can be mobile and, you know, could just go really wherever the people operating it and in charge of it want it to go. And essentially it can create hurricanes, guys. It can just create them. From what I've heard, the government has 5 weather manipulating patents, which means that they can control the weather, potentially create rainy days, help crops, or even do so much as create full-blown hurricanes. Now you're probably wondering, why would the government want this? Well, being able to create a hurricane is a pretty incredible weapon for war. So if this technology is out there and our government knows about it, then they're going to look at it like we have to have it, because if we don't and somebody else has it, then we're at a disadvantage, essentially. If you guys are curious about what this guy has to say about this some more, you can check out Cap's video. That's the title. But check it out after, dude. Hear me out for a second. The point of this video is to not definitively say that I know for sure that the government was behind Helene and potentially Milton. The point of the video is to throw the idea out there and let you guys decide for yourselves what you guys think. But I just think that there's too many absolutely insane factors going into this, and I want to just get it out there. And then you guys tell me what you think in the comments. So let's all get our tinfoil hats back out, put them on real quick, and hear me out. Election day is November 5th. That is coming up, dude, very soon. And I think this could have had a lot of influence on the decision. I think they're trying to keep us as distracted as possible. There might be information out there that they don't want us to know about, and whenever you send a hurricane at them, they're not going to really be researching too much about Kamala Harris's background, for example, right? They're going to be preparing and ultimately trying to not die, right? So when you think about it, a hurricane is the perfect distraction. People days before are going to start preparing. When it comes through, it shuts their power off, cell towers go down, Wi-Fi's out, there's potentially damage that you have to fix. So that's one reason why, in their heads, it would make sense to send a hurricane at us. So for the sake of the argument, let's assume that Kamala Harris's side was behind the hurricane, and ultimately she wants to win the election. Take a look at this map. Ultimately, she needs to reach 270 electoral votes. She has California, that's a huge one. All of this side. These colors are swing states, North Carolina being one of them, Georgia being one of them. When you look over here, there's not many electoral votes to be had, 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, 4, 6, 7. And also, let's back up a little bit. Let's assume for the sake of this argument that it's actually a smart idea for Harris to send a freaking hurricane at a bunch of toss-up states and Trump states in order to somehow win them over. It could make sense, because in dire situations where people just lost their home, lost people around them, their state of mind is going to be extremely vulnerable. They're going to be frantic. I mean, you guys can only imagine. Those people in Kamala Harris's brain, hypothetically, she could be thinking that these people are just looking for anything to save them. Anything or anyone. They're just looking around. Who's going to save me? Kamala Harris campaigning. The only part of this that doesn't make sense is how bad of a job that she's done with giving them relief, which I think, if I had to guess, will change closer to election time, and she's going to promise all of this aid going forward. But could a hurricane be positioned any better than how Helene was with hitting more toss-up states and Trump states? I mean, literally, this was the perfect placement for a hurricane. It comes up here for hitting Florida at 30 electoral votes, which is huge. Georgia at 16, South Carolina at 9, North Carolina at 16, and Tennessee at 11. That is 82 electoral votes. 82 electoral votes. According to this thing, dude, 270towin.com, she is at 190 votes. It puts her at 273. That gives her the dub, the victory royale, if you will. I mean, this is just insane. Now, let's keep our tinfoil hats on. Make sure they're fastened for the sake of the argument, hypothetically, so the government doesn't sue me or try to murder me. If the hurricane is only coming up this way, and I mean, it was bad for St. Pete and probably over here as well. But I mean, Florida at 30 electoral votes, which is a lot. I mean, look at everything else. 30 is a lot. I feel like there's a chance that they weren't confident enough in this path to really swing Florida. Because if you look over here at 270towin.com, they're saying Florida has Trump up by 5.2%, which is kind of a lot in comparison to Georgia, where Trump's only leading by 0.6%, or North Carolina, where Trump's only leading by 1.2%. So I think that there's a chance that they thought that one wasn't enough, and they had to send a whole new freaking hurricane straight through Florida. So one last time, let's just look at this map and see that it really does not make sense for a hurricane to be positioned anywhere other than a path like that. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to me, it feels like we're pretty close to World War III. I don't really know when it's going to happen. I don't think anybody really does, but it's probably going to end up happening. It is Bible prophecy after all. And I think the people in the government are very aware of this. They don't know when it's going to happen either, and they want to be prepared. They know that pretty much every single country in the world has nukes, including Russia, who keeps on talking about it, but it could get pretty bad. Help me out in the comments. I can't figure it out, but how far do you have to be away from a nuke to not be exposed to radiation? I can't figure it out on the internet. I think it was saying in order to survive the initial blast, you have to be at least 50 miles away to be safe. But the radiation afterwards, in order to not get cancer, I want to say you have to be hundreds of miles away. I remember looking into this with Taco probably like 6 months ago, and I thought the number that we found was 350 miles away from the detonation, and you're in the clear from radiation. I thought that's what it was. It could have been 250. I thought it was 350. My gut was telling me 350, so I did some thinking. These people at the Capitol probably think that nukes are going to hit America, right? Or there's the potential. And I think that they think that the Capitol would be a target for a nuke. I mean, that would just make perfect sense for another country to nuke that spot. So I think that they're anticipating the Capitol getting nuked, and they know that they have to be very far from this. And somebody please tell me what the actual number is. But for the sake of this exercise, let's assume that it's 350 miles is how far away you have to be away from a nuke in order to not get radiation. So we'll set it on the Capitol. And I think you guys know this, but one of the hardest hit cities during this was Asheville. I mean, it seemed like it was targeted. We'll put this in downtown Asheville, and you'll see that this distance is 380 miles, which surely is enough to survive a nuclear explosion and the radiation. Let's jump to Revelation. This is what the Bible says will happen in the end of times. It says, then everyone, the kings of the earth, the rulers, the generals, the wealthy and the powerful, and every slave and free person, all hid themselves in the caves and among the rocks of the mountains. They cried to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of the one who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of their wrath has come, and who is able to survive? So this includes the kings, the rulers, the generals, and the wealthy, and the powerful. These five. And it says that they went to the mountains. And whenever you think about a spot to put a bunker to survive World War III, in the side of like a random mountain out here would make a lot of sense, you know? It would be a nice hidden location, and you could probably even drill into the mountain and create a nice little base. I've heard these already exist. If you guys want, I could look into it a little bit more, do a video on it. Now, you guys have probably heard about how Harris is going to be giving out $750 to everybody that was affected by the hurricane. What if I told you that that's not even the case? That $750 is a loan. That means that you have to pay back the $750 later. So they're not even just giving you free money. You have to essentially pay that back to the government. And in the contract, it says that if you don't pay it back, that the government has the right to seize your property. Listen to this video.
FEMA inspector.
Yes.
I have a dire warning to those that are going to take the money. There is a contract at the beginning when the inspector gets there, before he starts inspecting. There's a contract that the claimant has to sign. Practically illegible. The writing is so small that 12 years ago I had to use a magnifying glass, and that's when my eyes were good. In that contract, if you do not pay the money back, it is a loan.
What?
A loan.
A loan.
And even if it's just $1 or $750, if you don't pay it back, they have the right to seize all of your property.
That's insane. The $750 that they're saying that they're going to give people, that's a loan? It's in the contract to receive it?
Yes, there is a contract that you sign before the inspector starts his inspection. You have to sign off on it, but there is a contract inside, and they even have, even for people that could not speak English, there was a translator that I would speak into it, and it would speak to them in Spanish or translate it in writing. And they have to sign this contract for the inspector to even start the inspection. If you take that money and don't pay it back,
Okay.
Wow, dude. So not only are they not actually giving you money and you have to pay it back, but if you don't, then they have the ability to seize your property. Now you're probably wondering, why would they want to do that? Why take that risk? The election's in like a month. That's a pretty hard stance. Well, dinner's ready, gotta go. And we're back. So the reason why they would do that is because there are some very valuable minerals in the mountains. There's lithium and there's quartz. This guy explains it pretty well. Check out what he has to say.
This flooding in North Carolina does not sit well with me. I think something's going on. So I decided to do some digging. So the first thing I find out is North Carolina has the richest deposits of lithium in the entire world. Yeah, lithium for like cars, batteries, all that. Then I find out they have the world's highest purity quartz deposits. And that quartz just so happens to be the world's supply for AI chips, microchips, and all kinds of stuff.
Oh boy.
We're talking a $530 billion industry. So this is where it gets interesting. So a company by the name of Piedmont Lithium is awaiting a state mining permit for a site in northern Gaston County. And Gaston County is completely flooded right now. The project was awaiting zoning approval because they were getting backlash from the residents and also city officials. And this lithium mine they want would be the third largest producer of lithium in the world. And they made a deal with Tesla already. Now remember the courts? So in Spruce Pine, North Carolina, right next to Ashland, they are wanting to expand their mines even larger, and the residents aren't having it either. Enter the floods. People, these are mountain towns. It rarely, if not ever, floods in the mountains. I would know, I grew up in the mountains in Colorado, which means none of these people have flood insurance. I mean, the media is saying biblical devastation in North Carolina, AKA like the worst thing that could happen, and you're not coming back from it. Read between the lines, people. Everything happens for a reason.
Oh, brother! Not good at all! I think that this lady explains it pretty well here, too.
I'll tell you what I find suspicious as shit, that one of the areas affected by Hurricane Helene is the world's largest lithium deposit, and the DoD just entered into an agreement with this company right here to mine lithium for electric cars starting in 2025. Now that area is completely devastated. This was a $90 million agreement between the DoD and this company right here to get Kings Mountain, North Carolina lithium mine up and running by 2030. If that area has been inundated, is in a disaster zone, then the government can come in and do eminent domain, and they can pay you what it was worth 5 years ago rather than what it's worth right now. Imagine if your home has turned into a watery lot and the government comes to you and says, hey, I'll pay you what you paid for it. You're gonna take it and you're gonna go, right? What do you think is going to happen right here now that they want this lithium mine up and running by 2025, 2030 at the latest? Back in 1947, we had the Florida-Georgia hurricane, or Hurricane 9, and it was the first hurricane to be targeted for weather modification. What happened was General Electric, the U.S. Navy, the Army, the Air Force, they poured dry ice into this hurricane using airplanes to see what would happen. Would they slow it down? Well, what happened was it slowed down a little bit, but it turned west really sharp. Let me show you. This is the path that the hurricane took in 1947. Does it look similar to you? Probably not. It's a coincidence, right? Moving on. I'm sure this is just another coincidence, but do you know who owns the most shares in that lithium mine? BlackRock.
BlackRock and Vanguard. The boys are in town. So to recap, if there was a disaster and the area is labeled as a disaster zone, the government can come in and offer to pay what it was worth before the disaster. And when your home is completely flooded, it's torn apart, and everywhere around you is a disaster, I think the majority of people are going to move. And then the government's going to come in, take that land, and I bet what we end up seeing is they turn it into lithium mines and quartz mines. So that'll be interesting to pay attention to over the next couple of years. But anyways, watch this video right here, dude. Check this out.
So the green, you can see the hurricane, you can see the eye of the storm, and it has a very natural sort of look to it, right? Very kind of organic formulation, and its movement in general is very organic. But these blue things, are you saying that these blue frequency things happening over here, which are all kind of like populating at the same time? And I think the when you look at this, obviously this is like a time lapse condensed, but when you look at these frequencies, it's almost like they're all triggered at the same time. They're all coming alive at the same time. And are those happening from like some sort of machine or some sort of technology that's turning on and emitting these frequencies to literally push this hurricane in this direction?
Absolutely. That's a completely coordinated network. It's an AI controlled coordinated network.
Oh boy.
Goodness.
There's no question. You can find every one of these facilities. We know where every one of these facilities are, and they're identified. And again, we're told it's simply radar. It's not. It's part of the weather manipulation network.
Okay, let me explain this with my Fortnite brain real quick, and then I'll let him explain it from his scientific brain. This right here is the hurricane, and the blue dots are like AI-controlled technology that repels the hurricane. So it pushes the hurricane away from where the blue's at. So the blue can dictate the path of the hurricane, essentially. And here's how somebody that didn't devote the last 5 years of their life to Fortnite would explain this thing.
Okay, what we're seeing there, that's Hurricane Helene as it's migrating inland. The blue flashes are frequency transmitter installations. It's called the NexRad network. those transmissions have a repelling effect on the storm mass that's saturated with electrically conductive particles. So it can repel or corral that moisture wherever they want it. Where they de-energize, where you see the storm migrating to the northeast and there's nothing in front of it energizing, that creates a clear path for that moisture to migrate further north. Again, these are patented technologies. So they decided where that moisture would go and where it wouldn't. And we've also recorded this for other storms like Harvey, Ian, Michael, Maria. All these can be found if your followers search geoengineeringwatch.org hurricanes, and where you feel we're not sure how long we're going to have access to the transmission frequency sites, but we have it still. We're going to keep recording this. We're recording Milton right now, but you're seeing real-time manipulation of a hurricane on that screen. That's exactly what you're looking at.
Excellent. Now, I know that was a lot to take in, but stay with me. If you go to that guy's website, Geoengineering Watch, he has a section called Patents. If you go to the most recent patents that have come out, and then you Control F Hurricane into the title, you're going to get 20 results. So let's click on the most recent one. Oh boy. So this one is a system and method for proactive and reversible mitigation of storm, hurricane, typhoon, and cyclone. Well, that's good. I don't know why we didn't use that for the last couple hurricanes, but whatever, that's besides the point. Right here in June 2020, helical artificial generator of tornado, hurricane, yellow dust, and typhoon. So some quick keywords: generator of hurricane. Okay, got it. Yep, they figured out how to do this. Let's try to find some more. July of 2013. Method to influence the direction of travel of hurricanes. Not going to sit here and read through all of these, but maybe you guys should go through them. I don't know, dude. Might be something here. But this here is kind of proof that we're able to create, manipulate, and steer hurricanes. The technology is out there. We've got one more video for you guys. I'm trying to keep this video short, but Uncle Jerry's got an absolute banger. Let's give Uncle Jerry the floor.
Please don't scroll. Please watch this entire video, because you will see about 6 or 7 or 8 pictures at the end of it showing you proof of everything that I'm about to say. So please watch this entire video. So between Kings Mountain and Chimney Rock, North Carolina is the largest lithium deposit in the world. And the rights are owned by Albemarle Global. And on September the 24th, they actually applied for federal and state permits to redirect and reconstruct their mining operation between...
That was 3 days before the hurricane, just to throw that out there.
Kings Mountain and Chimney Rock. So Albemarle is owned mostly by stockholders, Vanguard and BlackRock Group. Well, guess who the biggest investor in BlackRock and Vanguard is? Douglas Emhoff, Kamala Harris's husband. So Albemarle is home headquartered in Charlotte, North Carolina. And when these permits get approved, they're proposing $250 billion yearly in mining. Douglas Emhoff's stock holdings just went up substantially. And guess who is the final approval for the permits? That would be our lovely VP. So, as I said, I'm going to post about 6 or 7, maybe 8 pictures at the end of this video, and you can see for yourself. It's a disgrace. The loss of life for money. So please, I beg you, if you have any heart and any love for life and liberty and the wrongdoing that's going on right now, please like, comment, and repost this to everybody. Everybody. Thank you.
So I looked it up. Emhoff's, which is Kamala Harris's husband's last name, retirement account are heavily invested in exchange trade funds from Vanguard, BlackRock, and Charles Schwab. Some of the funds in Emhoff's portfolio, according to the documents filed in 2021, included Vanguard, iShares, Vanguard, iShares, Vanguard, Vanguard, Vanguard. So there's that. So if you go to Open Secrets, you type in Kamala Harris, see what she's investing in, you'll see that she's invested in Vanguard ETFs for an amount in between $250,000 and $500,000. Another Vanguard Growth ETF in between $100,000 and $250,000. A Vanguard Bond Intermediate Term ETF between $50,000 and $100,000. Vanguard Short-Term Bond in between this and that. Vanguard, Vanguard, all in between $15,000 and $50,000. This one is just talking about how Albemarle is looking to operate in Kings Mountain, North Carolina, which was hit pretty hard. He then shows that Albemarle's largest shareholders include Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, and these other people. And you can see that that's true. Went to Yahoo Finance, typed in Albemarle Corporation, went to top institutional holders, Vanguard number 1 at 12.18%, which is a lot, and BlackRock's at 8.48%. So they already own over 20% of the company. And then you look at BlackRock's top institutional holders. Vanguard's number 1 at 8.53%. Then you go to Vanguard and BlackRock owns 7% of them. So these two have a lot of control over this company. It then shows you what I just showed you. Shows you that BlackRock owns a piece of Vanguard. Shows that the company's headquarters are in Charlotte. And then he shows this article, which is this, posted by the company, saying that they submit state and federal permits for potential redevelopment of the Kings Mountain mine on September 24th. So this was on the Tuesday, 3 days before the hurricane hit on the 27th. That's some pretty good timing on their part. I have a lot more content that I could show as well, but I don't want to make this video too long. But you guys should look at the videos showing how FEMA is denying people that are trying to help the people that were devastated by the hurricane. And it just doesn't sit right, dude. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this. What do you guys think's going on? I know I already mentioned this. The point of the video was not to take a stance and blatantly say what the root cause of this was, but it's to put the information out there and let you guys make a decision on your own. I'd be curious to see what you guys think about this. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. But you know, some of you, you're probably watching this and it's not sitting right. You're like, there's something to this, dude. I don't know what it is. Maybe you've got a little bit of an eerie feeling about this whole thing. It's got you a little confused. I want to just end with living in line with Jesus is a much better route than what is potentially happening with our government following the ways of Satan. So if you guys don't know, Satan is the 180 opposite of what Jesus was. Or is. Is! So the devil would have loved the decision to create a hurricane and send it right on over to Asheville, killing hundreds of people, all to make some people more wealthy. So some of the characteristics that come with following Satan is having a greed for money, lying, killing innocent people, turning a blind eye to those in need, causing chaos and violence. While Jesus teaches you to be generous with your money and giving to those in need, having compassion and helping those in need, treating others with love. He teaches to be peaceful and to love your neighbor. And he teaches to live a life with integrity and honesty. So I know some of you maybe aren't religious or following Jesus at the moment, but I would just say give it a look. Maybe spend some time and figure out who you want to follow. Because the only way to heaven is through Jesus. And everybody that doesn't go to heaven goes to hell. And that is not where you want to be. That is not a good experience. I promise you that is a bigger problem than any other problem that you can encounter in this world. And it's for forever. So give it a look, man. I'm going to continue to make these kind of videos. And, you know, I'm not going to be playing Fortnite anymore. I know I haven't really preached a whole lot on here. But what I want to do with this channel is to create content that's actually worth your guys' time. I think watching somebody that's so good at Fortnite is not really helping you guys at all. But if I'm providing life advice, business advice, a couple funny videos here and there, and videos that help you get closer to God and ultimately go to heaven, I think those are videos that are very much worth your time. I appreciate you guys watching and sticking with me. So let's end like this. We serve a very big God who uses the negative and evil things and flips them around to be good. He uses them. God's presence was in those cleanup crews and volunteers that came to help. He will allow these things to happen to test you and to build you into the person that you need to become. He knows that material things don't really matter, and he still provides everything that we need to survive. I also want to say that a point that I want to make is that the government is not going to save you. The only two things that can save you is God and yourself. That's it. These terrible things are going to continue to happen, so we need to stay ready, and we need to continue to train our brains to handle these situations. I would really recommend the gym. It helps you to become mentally stronger. and prayer. Train yourself for these situations so when they happen, you're able to keep a positive and solution-oriented mindset. Hope you guys take a second to really think about the changes that you maybe need to make in your life and make the changes. So have a great rest of our days. Let's continue to get after it. Peace out, guys.